Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to conclude our NFL regular season predictions with Week 18. Last week we went 12-4, which brings my total season record up to 178 and 109. And looking at this finale week, there are some playoff clinching scenarios, and there are scenarios that do need to be discussed. And this game is right here is one of them. And we're going to start off with the Monday Night Football. Well, it's not a Monday night game. It's a game that's going to be on ESPN and ABC. That's why I put the Monday Night logo here. It's the Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns, they seriously look even worse with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. They did not look good against the Dolphins. They look like they don't even belong on a football field. And you seriously bench Jameis Winston for this? Come on, people. Come on, Browns. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, got their best victory of the season. Not only beating the Texans, but virtually shutting them out on offense. They only had 2 points due to a safety that didn't even give us Scorigami. But yeah, kudos to the Ravens for getting their best victory of the season. And for this scenario, Ravens, all they gotta do is win. If they win, the AFC North is theirs, which I do think they're going to easily get the win here. Although the Browns have beaten the Ravens earlier in the season, but that was with Jameis Winston. But if they lose and maybe the Steelers lose, the division will still be theirs. So, but regardless, I'm still going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win. Following that, we got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Bengals coming off a thrilling Saturday night win over the Denver Broncos, thanks to Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. And the Steelers coming off a Christmas Day loss, which was their third straight loss in the season, where they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. In this game, it's going to depend where I'm going to go with the predictions. It depends on how the previous game is played. I do think the Steelers, regardless of result of what happens in Baltimore, they're going to play their starters. I think they need to play their starters to get some momentum going for them. But it's either play their starters or be stuck at the 5th seed. That's where I'm at with the Steelers. Bengals, they need to win, and they need turn out they need more help than you think. And regardless if the Steelers are playing their starters or not, and again, I'm assuming that they are, I got to go with the Bengals to win. They're playing very hot football. Sadly, I don't think it's going to be enough for them. But it was a very nice way to close the season. And now what I'm going to do is, let me just say this. Normally when I do my predictions, I do my in order of the ESPN Pigskin Pick'em game, and I put my game of the week last. This week, because it's the finale week, I'm doing what I did last year. I'm gonna sort the 1 o'clock games from least important to most important, and with the 4 o'clock games, same thing. So we got an unimportant game here. I'm gonna try and breeze through this one really quickly. Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts. Jaguars sweeping the Titans. Colts becoming the third disgraced team to lose to the Giants. And now every team that the Giants have beaten or have been out of the playoffs because of it. Well, except for Cleveland, because we all know Cleveland's that bad, but that's not what we're talking about. And to make a very, very quick prediction, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Colts. They're at home. At least Jonathan Taylor is still running the ball very well. And then we got the Houston Texans taking on the Tennessee Oilers Titans. The Texans only scoring 2 points to the Ravens. Just 2. And the Titans, yeah, they suck. I'm for one, don't expect Bryce Callahan to be the head coach after this game. He might be one and done. And for me, for the Texans, I do think they're going to play their starters. And it's not because they have seeding. I think they're actually locked into the 4th seed, but they need to play their starters. They're coming into the playoffs with pretty low momentum. And that's not where they want to be going into the postseason, hosting a home game with either the Ravens or the Steelers. They just better pray that the Ravens don't lose. They want to see that happen again. But anyway, Texans, Ravens. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Texans to win because the Titans are just that bad. And I'm assuming that the Texans aren't going to play their are going to play their starters just to get some momentum going into the postseason with. And then we have another unimportant game where the Buffalo Bills will be taking on the New England Patriots. Bills last week mollywopping the Jets. Patriots getting mollywopped by the Chargers. And in this game, Bills are locked in at the number 2 seed. They can't get any higher. They can't get any lower. So they can afford to rest their starters. But I do think they might play them a little bit and then sit them out. And given that these two teams played almost 2 weeks ago where the Patriots almost got the win, they looked very well in that first half. And even though the Patriots, if they lose, the number 1 overall pick is theirs, I have a gut feeling, I'm going to roll with the New England Patriots to win this game. Only because I don't expect the Bills to play their starters this much into the game. They might play like a first half and then they'll rest. They might end up resting the entire game. But I think the Patriots will win, possibly sabotaging their number 1 overall pick chances. And that'll be very typical New England like of them. And we have another unimportant game with the New York Giants taking on the I almost called them the Saquon Barkleys, the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants winning a meaningless game against the Colts. All they had to do was lose. Number 1 overall pick was in clear sight. Well, number 1 overall pick can be in sight, but now they're going to need some help with that. And for the Eagles, they thrashed the Cowboys for the second time this season. Saquon eclipsed 2,000, and we just found out that he will not be chasing the Eric Dickerson record. All he needed was 102 yards to do it. And I felt like this was more his decision. If he want to go out there and break the record, he could have easily went for it. But I feel like he has more. I feel like there are other bigger priorities for him going into the season, going to the postseason. So with that being said, I'm still taking the Eagles to win because even their B team might be better than the Giants' A team. And now we got some semblance of importance with the Washington Commanders taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Washington clinching a playoff berth over the over the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, the Cowboys getting mollywopped by the Philadelphia Eagles. And the only reason why I said there is some semblance of importance because if Washington were to lose and let's say Green Bay do what they do and own Chicago, then Washington will be playing Philadelphia in the round 1 playoffs while Green Bay would be moving up to that 6th seed. So there is some seeding scenarios with this one. Not major, but it's still something to keep an eye on. And given that, even though this game's in Dallas, I'm still taking the Commanders to win. Cowboys are just rushing to end this season, where they try to go all in to a tank. And speaking of those Green Bay Packers, we got the Chicago Bears taking on their fathers. Let's not say about what happened to the Bears on Thursday night, the better. And Green Bay, first 3 quarters, they looked pretty lethargic against the Minnesota Vikings. They tried to make a comeback, but it turned out it was too little too late. And luckily this game's in Lambeau, and we all know the story. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers behind center. Green Bay owns the Bears. And with them probably playing their starters, I don't see any other result that would make me change my mind. Just hope Washington loses and they can move up and avoid Philly. But it's looking like Green Bay is going to likely have a trip in Philadelphia. And now we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Panthers getting embarrassed in every single phase of the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, while the Falcons had a terrible clock management situation against the Washington Commanders, which basically cost them the game. But hey, at least Kyle Pitts did a thing. And in this one, it's going to be in Atlanta. Falcons, they need to win and hope that Tampa slips up against the Saints to do that. And I'm still going to take, I'm going to take the Falcons to win this game because the Panthers defense is just that terrible. As for the team they didn't need to look out for, yeah, I'm just not going to make any assessments here. I got Tampa winning the division. Saints are terrible. And now we're on to the 4 o'clock games. And like I said, I'm going to sort this from least important to most important. And this definitely is falling in the least importance. 49ers, Cardinals. 49ers, at least they looked kind of competent against the Lions. But with Brock Purdy getting hurt into the game, is going to prevent me from picking the 49ers to win. I'm going to go with the Cardinals to win. I don't know if Brock Purdy's playing this game or not, but after seeing what he did in the end of that game, it's making me thinking that he's not. I'm just going to roll with the Cardinals for pride. And speaking of pride, the Chargers taking on the Raiders. The Chargers clinched the playoff berth last week against New England. Raiders are winning meaningless games. And to think about it, I think the Chargers are locked into the 6th seed. They can't get any higher. They can't get any lower. So they're probably going to rest their starters in this one. They're a team that's probably going to rest. But I still think the Chargers, our B team, is going to do enough to get a win over the Raiders. And now we got a semi-meaningless game. A game that I thought was going to have more meanings until the Rams clinched their playoff spot. We got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Seahawks got a win of the Bears, but they looked terrible doing it. And the Rams barely beat the Cardinals 13-9. And because of strength of schedule is one of those rare scenarios, the Rams got the division, while the Seahawks, my sleeper team of the year, is going to be watching the playoffs from home for the 2nd year in a row. And for the Rams, I do think this is another team I think they should play their starters because while the defense has gotten better, the offense, only 12 points against the 49ers, just 13 against the Cardinals, and then there was one game and just 19 against the Jets. The offense do need to get some momentum going for them. Now, let me also say this. There is a very small seeding scenario with this one because if the Bucks win the division, the Rams right now currently sits at seed number 3. But there's a small chance they could get bumped down to seed number 4 if the Bucks win and let's say the Rams somehow lose to Seattle. That's how that scenario could get played out. But luckily, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just going to pick the Rams to win this game. And Seattle could just wonder what could have been. And now we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. Dolphins getting a win over the Cleveland Browns. And the Jets looking embarrassing against the Buffalo Bills. And this game could possibly be the final game of Aaron Rodgers. He has thrown hints that this might be his final outing as a football player. So we're not going to get that Minnesota Viking arc from him. Okay, whatever. And for the Dolphins, it's looking like Tua Tagovailoa will not be playing this game. So they're going to have to bank on Tyler Huntley to get them over the hump. And with this game, even though it's being played in New York, like I said, I'm done picking the Jets for anything. The Jets, they're pretty much planning their tickets to Cancun. I don't blame them for it. I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win a low-scoring game. And then, let me ask this question. How does a number 1 seed become a 10.5 point underdog heading into Denver? But anyway, the Chiefs will be taking on the Broncos. Chiefs got the number 1 seed, and they passionately said that they're going to rest their starters in this one. And someone said they're going to rest to spite not the Broncos or the Dolphins, but despite the Chiefs, because despite the Bengals, because the Bengals are the bigger threat than either the Dolphins or the Broncos. But Denver last week, speaking of the Bengals, coming off a tough loss to said team, and now luckily for them, they're still 1 game ahead, and all they got to do is win, and they're in. And with them being double-digit favorites against a team with the number 1 seed in the postseason, that is telling. And I've been passionate to everyone I talked to this week about this game. I said, I'm going with the Denver Broncos to win this game. I kept telling everyone, Broncos going to win this game. And I'm going to passionately stay behind that stance. And finally, game 272. Obviously my game of the week. We never saw a scenario like this one. You got the Minnesota Skull Vikings taking on the Detroit Lions. Never have we ever seen 2 teams with 14 wins apiece meet this late in a season. Hell, we never seen a team with 13 wins apiece meet this late in a season. The Minnesota Vikings sweeping the Green Bay Packers last week. Sam Darnold looking pretty good. Viking defense playing very great. And yeah, what more can I say? Kevin O'Connell's pretty much going to be the coach of the year, and Sam Darnold's going to be the comeback player of the year. But that's a demon I'm going to exercise when I get to my NFL honors predictions. Meanwhile, for the Lions, coming off a very hard-fought win over the 49ers, where they pull up all the stocks. And it turned out, Dan Campbell said this team could have rested their starters for that game heading into this one. But they did not. But I think the players chose against it, and that was a good decision because they ended up winning. Like I said, never have we ever seen 2 teams with this many wins meet this late in the season. And of course, everyone knows what's on the line. The NFC North and the number 1 seed. It's either win or go to seed number 5. And I do think seed number 5, which means whoever wins this game will likely play either Tampa or the Rams, they're going to have a much tougher time to deal with. And if with this game being played in Detroit, this is going to be a playoff atmosphere. I cannot go against Detroit at home. I just can't. But hey, let me also congratulate the Lions because finishing the season undefeated on the road. That should be worth of recognition. So now let's look at the AFC. As we can see, there's only one spot left in this playoffs. Right now, the Steelers, Ravens, and Chargers all have spots clinched. Bills and Texans have clinched their divisions, and the Chiefs got the home field advantage. And that last spot for the playoffs is going to come between the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Broncos. And according to my predictions, I think the Broncos will get that 7th and final seed. And for the NFC, we end up getting some clarity with the Lions, Packers, Vikings, and now Commanders clinching their playoff spots. We have the Eagles clinching their division, and thanks to the very rare scenario of strength of schedule, the Rams have clinched their division. And that's going to conclude my NFL predictions for Week 18. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please gamble safely. And I'll see you next time.